G'day guys, welcome back. So part 2 of our Wild Willy 2 project build. Really not much of a project, it's just a kit build for now. The bodywork is going to be the actual project. So for step 1 and step 2 is basically just assembling the rear arms and assembling them onto our transmission that we pulled apart in the last episode and put all new bearings in, ball bearings, added a bit more grease. And I forgot to mention, you have to be mindful of your pinion setting. The kit came with a 18 tooth pinion, so it gives you an option of an 18 and a 20 tooth pinion to line up for your motor. So just watch out for that when you're putting it back together. So Zach's got all the parts here ready to go together. Now you have to again just read the drawing. You can see that there's 2 pips on either part, and if they don't line up, such as this one, you have the wrong part. So what you need is for those 4 marks there to line up, and then you know you got your parts together properly. So that is a left and a right, they go that way, and then we just need to run 2 3x10 self-tapping screws. Sorry guys, I'm just going out of frame to get the screws out of my bucket here that Zach's got together for me. Now since this is soft plastic and self-tapping screws, once you feel them take up, that's it. Stop turning the screwdriver. Step away from the table. You do not want to strip these screws out. I mean, it is fixable quite easily actually, but that's just another step you don't really want to do, isn't it? So I think this is going to be a pretty quick build. So grease time is the word that you heard. Again, I'm going to grease up the parts that actually move, or the parts where the pins actually move in, you know what I mean. Okay, so now we have our screw pins. 1 screw pin for the bottom. You do need to take note of which way these arms go. If you put them on the wrong way, your drive shafts won't line up, which is just a matter of reading the plan. You can see that these legs kick out to the rear or towards that way as it's showing on the instructions. All you do need to do is just orientate the parts so that they look the same as they do on the page, and you should be pretty well hunky-dory, good to go. Well, you're a hermaphrodite, aren't you? So they're both C4s. So we have a raised section on this side, and this is showing me no raised sections. It's also showing me that it kicks out towards the front of the vehicle. This is actually facing the front. You wouldn't really think so when you first look at it, but the motor is mid-mounted. So we have our step screw. Again, just once it tightens up, that's it, leave it. Don't over tighten these screws, not even just a little bit. And that is step 1 and step 2. Nice and simple. So you can have that back, Zach. That. Step 3, we are attaching. That's a young attach. We are attaching, or we are assembling first, the wheelie bar, which gives you a nice solid hunk of metal there. And those 3 parts just pop together quite easily. And our 2 3x10 screws, yes, we have some in there. I didn't really make up my mind what kind of build video series this is going to be, but I think it's going to be quite a short one. I'm just keeping an eye on the time. So we're only up to 6 minutes. We're up to step 3 already, so it's really not an involved build. That's just going to sit on there like that eventually. I am going to use or utilise my grease in the holes trick, because this being a hard plastic, it can be kind of hard to thread in. Even although they're only 10mm screws, not the usual 12mm, so they're probably not so bad. So we have our out drives, which need to accept an O-ring, and that just gets pushed in with the dog bone, which you need in the next step. So that's one of our out drives. You guys even see. I'm going to bring you in a bit. Is that a bit better? So we just push in O-rings thusly, and it's telling you to grease up these drives. That's really only because there used to be nylon bushings inside there, but since we replaced it all with ball bearings, we don't really need the grease in there, do we? So now we can mount our wheelie bar, our wheelie bar. I was contemplating, making the age-old joke at the start of the first video with the introduction and the unboxing and stuff like that, But it's been played to death, hasn't it? The old, oh, check out my Willy, and let's play with my Willy. I mean, every time someone says it, I still laugh, because apparently I'm still 12 years old. But hey, it's funny. But in all honesty, I just forgot. So it is first thing in the morning for us. Well, not really first thing anymore, but it was when we were setting up to start filming for this build. And kind of wasn't really thinking about any kind of script. Not that we ever do anyway. We kind of just wing it, make it up as we go. These bottom screws can be a little bit tricky to get in here, because they're right in between that wheelie bar and that screw pin mount. Well, tricky for my fingers anyway. Normal people probably don't have a problem. Right, so that is step 3 complete. Step 4, we are fitting our rear uprights. Just making sure all these screws are nice and tight. You can have that box back, please, mate. Why am I saying please when I'm giving it to you? Okay, we have all the parts for step 4. Zach's doing a great job over there sorting parts out. Okay, he's even giving me bearings too. So we're just going to slide our bearings into our housings here, if we can. That's a bit of a tight fit. You can use your box wrench to push these in. I'd probably do that. You can use your screwdriver, but the problem with that is you're actually pushing on the inner race. Can you see? You're actually pushing on the inner race of the bearing, which is putting unwanted load on the whole bearing itself, because they're not designed to take a lot of axial load. They're designed to take radial load, which I think we explained in the boomerang video with thrust bearings. Right, now out drives, one of them. Now we are going to grease up. What you have to watch out for is which is top and which is bottom. The bottom is the thicker portion. Thinner portion goes to the top. Screws come in from the rear. So we are going to grease up the holes from the rear. So this one goes that way on the car, so we want this grease on this side. Yeah, we're going for time here. 11 minutes, we're flying along. There I go, headbutting the camera again. And yes, we still haven't worked out a better way to mount this bloody camera. Actually, I'll tell you, I have worked out a way to do it. I just haven't done it yet. So we have another step screw. Yes. Actually, that was silly. I greased up. Well, not really the wrong hole, but that was also silly. I made this mistake on the boomerang, I think. Okay, you got to make sure you install your dog bone or your drive shaft before you screw your uprights in completely. Otherwise, you screw it up. You've got to take it all apart again. Well, that screw anyway. And that's both sides done for step 4. Everything's nice and free, running very nicely. Now, since we've got our rear drive shafts and our out drives in, we might just give it another little bit of a test, just to make sure everything is running freely and running freely through its full range of motion, which it is running absolutely beautifully. So on to step 5, which is your radio gear. Now, they're telling you to get your radio gear together so that you can center your servo. This kit did come with an ESC, but I ended up using that in another car. I can't remember. So we don't actually have an ESC or receiver for this car just yet, but they're not hard to put in later on. What we do have though is our go-to servos. They are nice and cheap, but we've never had an issue with them. I also need a 3x10 machine screw, which I'm going to take one out of our handy little screw collection here. That screw is for the servo saver on the servo. So, what have we got in here? You're missing some parts here, mate.
Which ones?
Servo mounts, C11s.
Oh, that's 50%.
Oh, is that the next one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's where they came from. I have another one of these servo savers in the spare parts bin. I thought, that's pretty beefy. Where'd that come from? Now I know. Okay, so they want, well, we have to center our servo first, don't we? Now, like I said, you can assemble all your radio gear and center your servo that way, but as you know, we're a bit flash about it. Well, we think we are anyway. Alright, we just use our servo tester. Manual, servo's working, always. It's always good to check, make sure the servo actually works, especially when it's a brand new one. Alright, that's back to center, that's turned off, that's unplugged, and that goes away. So, it's showing us to mount our servo horn in that direction, which means the locator on the that part faces that way, and then our spring, which is your servo saver, which is essentially just a spring, and your servo arm itself. And I'm actually going to thread those balls in first, but I am going to tap these holes to accept the M3 thread. makes things a lot easier. Because one thing I hate doing is trying to thread machine threads into plastic. Now look at that, they just go straight in. We spoke a little bit about thread taps in a bit more depth in the boomerang video, so we won't go into it too much now. So there are our ball connectors, and that's interesting. They give you a internal castle washer instead of the usual plastic little washer piece, grommet piece. So I had, there we go, it's my M10 screw. I thought I had it here somewhere. Anyway, there is our servo arm mounted to our servo. Our next step is step 6, where we assemble the steering rods, mount onto the servo, mount the servo mounts, and actually put it into the chassis, which I think is going to be in part 3 of the build series. And that's really loose, so I think I'm gonna fix that off camera, and when we come back in part 3, I'll explain to you what I did to fix that. Okay, so thanks for watching, thanks for your support. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next video.